Alright, let's backlight our Gameboy Pocket. You should have it fully assembled and the screen out. I'm going to take a fresh sharp razor and coat it with some isopropyl alcohol. We're going to slip that carefully behind the adapter cable that connects the vertical and horizontal cable together. I'm going to slide it right behind, in between where the adapter cable solders to the vertical cable. There's a little strip of tape in there, which we're going to get a razor blade through to remove that adhesive completely. We're going to turn our iron down to 200 degrees and let that get down to temperature. Alright, so let's prop up our screen, giving some support so we don't hurt the ribbon cable itself. And at the moment I've got flux and a piece of chip quick on the vertical pins. Chip quick is a low melting point solder. Makes it easy to desolder surface mount components. You could also do this with hot air. I use a knife tip whenever I do this, which is a big help. And I'm moving the solder blob back and forth, but my tip isn't actually touching the pins. Just bringing the solder back and forth across all the pins. And as I start to see the pins naturally rise, I'm going to lift the screen up and keep going back and forth until the adapter cable literally just falls away from the vertical ribbon cable. And I'm going to brush the bevel of my knife tip along with the pins very gently, and what I'm doing is wicking away any excess chip quick. It's a great desoldering tool. It's a terrible solder, so we want to get rid of it now that we've used it. Just keep cleaning your tip, wicking away more chip quick, cleaning your tip till it's all gone. Let's flip our screen. And we're going to take our sharp razor blade and get some more isopropyl alcohol on it. We're also going to put a little bit of isopropyl alcohol right on the corner where we're going to enter with the blade. We're going to enter in at the corner, making sure to get beneath the two layers of the reflective film and the polarizer. I'm going to carefully push in from this corner. The bevel of the razor blade should be flat against the screen so you don't scrape or scratch the screen. Once we get it in deep enough to have a grip on the corner, I'm going to go ahead and pull up gently and as evenly as we can. The less times you stop, the cleaner the screen is going to be left after you pull that up. And we'll fast forward this a little bit. I'm just going to be cleaning. From this point on, I'll be wearing gloves so I don't get any fingerprints in the screen. And we're just going to be using the isopropyl alcohol Q-tip to soak all the spots that have adhesive left. We'll take our razor blade and we're going to hit it at that same angle with the bevel of the blade flat against the LCD. Scrape up any large chunks of adhesive, and then we'll move to a paper towel, first soaked in isopropyl and then a dry one to pick up the isopropyl. And you might need like a lint-free cloth or a can of spray air to spray off any little fibers left by the paper towel. The better job you do now, happier you'll be at the end. Alright, so we're going to fold that back together. Get a little support screwdriver. get a little bit of flux up the pads on the adapter cable. It's not only going to help the connection, but having it in between is going to help stick the pins down once we line them up. So I'm just being very careful to align all the vertical pins onto the pads of the adapter cable. Once I'm happy with it, I'm going to take my iron. Oh, actually here I'm just pressing down with the flat bar the pins onto the pads so they have a nice little seating stuck in with the flux. And I'm going to tack down the rightmost pin and the leftmost pin just to tack this into place now that they're all lined up. Get your iron back up to temp. I use about 337 on the solder I'm using right now. Which is a 6337. I'm going to clean our tip, tin her up. I'm going to use that flat bar. And I'm just going to use it to put a little bit of pressure so the pins stay down flat against the pads and there's no gap between them. I'm just using the bevel of my knife tip and I'm drag soldering in the same direction as the pins so I can get about 5 pins at a time. I'm just going back real far, clean it all up. Clean my tip and house it. Let's clean out that flux with a little isopropyl. Again, even with the Q-tip, you want to be moving in the direction of the pins anytime you're cleaning above them. You don't want to bend or pull them or put any weird stress on it. And cleaning up the flux on the back of that ribbon cable. Got a little junk on the front of the screen. I'm just going to clean it up. The front of the screen obviously doesn't have to be perfect at this stage. The inside of the screen should be. The front of the screen will have plenty of access to down the road. All you got to do is decide what color backlight you want. I like to do RGB backlights with a little touch sensor controller, thanks to Sean Maxwell's design. Here you can see you've got a beautiful backlit Gameboy Pocket. No cut ribbon cables, no funky damage, no lines caused.